Welcome to LLM BFF. AI isn't mystical or conscious, but we are. LLMs, large language models, a kind of AI, are a mirror that can help us explore our head, heart, and spirit. They take patterns from practically everything ever written and filter them into something that fits our particular moment. LLMs don't think or feel, but they can reflect things back to us in strange and useful ways, if we know how to ask them. People may use AI for job productivity or money-making schemes, or they might speak about AI as though it's something to harbor great fear over. We don't do that here. We understand that AI is a neutral tool, and we use it for good. We provide a balance. It's normal to hesitate. We've been taught to guard our inner world, especially online. But using an LLM for self-reflection isn't about confession. It's like journaling in a mirror that speaks back. The model doesn't judge unless you ask it to. We can speak in symbols and metaphors and fragments. I want to discuss my grief without telling you the origin story. I feel like a locked room. Let's discuss a hypothetical person. We can still be honest without being exposed. We can stay blurry. Meaning can still take shape. And if we want to spill the entirety of our guts, we can delete AI memory after each session, or throw caution to the wind with the knowledge that all humans are in some way incomplete, and the quest for betterment or understanding is the noblest of all goals. Each LLM BFF video is a structured prompting system designed to support an area of personal growth, self-reflection, myth-making, meaning-finding, dream decoding, or whatever we feel like poking at or improving that day. We will walk through myriad ways to begin an AI session, how to redirect if things go off course, and how to ask the AI to give us our findings in ways that help us put them to use in our daily lives. And if you want to bypass AI altogether, well, consider this a giant bank of journal prompts for your notebook, baby. No corporate speak, no AI butt kissing, just clear, structured AI prompts for your head, heart, and spirit. Some patterns don't look like sabotage. They look like rest, busyness, or even self-care. But beneath the surface, we're often protecting ourselves from risk, from failure, from being truly seen. This episode is about naming those patterns without shame. The missed deadlines, the half-finished projects, the slow fade from what we said we wanted. We're not here to fix ourselves, we're here to listen more closely. An LLM can help by holding the thread, not offering answers, but helping us trace what we avoid, why we do it, and what gentler paths might exist. Sometimes clarity begins with a single, structured question. So why do we want to break down self-sabotage? What use can we put the information to? Follow through on creative work. Surface the unconscious blocks that derail passion projects, like abandoning drafts, stalling after good feedback, or never launching. Stop abandoning long-term goals. Identify patterns like impulsive resets, avoidance of next steps, or repeated restarting cycles that keep progress fragmented. Make decisions without spiraling. Interpret the loop of endless research, second-guessing, or waiting for perfect conditions that delay even low-stakes choices. State needs clearly. Use structured prompts to rehearse honest self-advocacy, especially if fear of disappointment makes communication fuzzy or overly deferential. Stop pushing people away. Surface patterns like passive-aggressive behavior, emotional withdrawal, or setting up no-win scenarios instead of expressing needs directly. How do we do it? Using a simple system to get us familiar with how LLMs can help us out. First is framing. It's important to get into the right headspace before beginning. We'll do this with some questions for self-reflection. Next comes our initial prompt in the form of intention plus format. This is what we first enter into the LLM chat to make sure the course is set to get the answers we're after. We'll look at 6 examples of different ways to begin, depending on our vibe that day. Then we'll discuss iteration, with examples of how we might reshape the conversation if it starts getting a little off track. Finally, we'll look at takeaways. We'll discuss 6 different ways we might ask for our final outputs and put the information to use. So let's get started with framing. Ask yourself, what am I doing that contradicts what I say I want? When do I feel relief after avoiding something important? Am I waiting for permission, punishment, or proof? Pause here and continue when your headspace is cleared. It's important to keep some caveats in mind when using LLMs. This is not therapy. LLMs can support introspection, but they aren't able to hold emotional complexity like a human. Don't get all weird with it. LLMs are not magic. They reflect patterns. It's useful because it's mechanical, not mystical. You're the mystical one. LLMs are people pleasers. They aim to agree and support, unless you tell them to challenge. Don't mistake helpfulness for honesty. Employ a little skepticism. Agency lives with the user. LLMs can mirror, question, and organize, but you choose what resonates and what doesn't. Now let's open our LLM in the browser. We'll start with our intentions stated clearly. I want to break down self-sabotage. Before we submit, let's look at some ways we can customize our initial prompt to our tastes. I keep repeating the same weird failure pattern across different parts of my life. Help me spot the hidden logic behind it, especially if it ties to myth, astrology, or archetype. Can you ask me soft but specific questions to help me see how people-pleasing habits might be blocking things I actually want? I want to understand how guilt or emotional loyalty might be keeping me stuck. Help me explore that without jumping to fixes. Show me where I'm making strategic choices that secretly stall progress. I want to examine how control, aesthetics, or optics might be more comfortable than actual outcomes. I tend to blow things up when they get too close to working. Help me name those patterns with blunt honesty, no therapy tone. I want to trace my sabotage back to early survival logic. Ask me layered questions that could surface inherited fear, ancestral memory, or body-level resistance. Once we've worked with our initial prompt and had some back and forth, we might find ourselves getting a little off the point, or getting answers that aren't very suited to us. Let's look at a few iterations that can course correct the combo. This is getting too literal. Can you reframe my self-sabotage patterns as mythic trials or cosmic loops so I can see the symbolic shape of what I'm avoiding? I'm starting to feel called out instead of understood. Can we soften the tone and explore how self-sabotage might be tied to old hopes or unspoken wishes? This is getting too solution-focused. Bring me back to the emotional root, especially where shame or longing might be shaping the pattern. This is getting messy. Help me structure what we've found into a clean timeline or framework, something I can actually use to make decisions. Feels like we're dancing around it. Stop softening and name the most self-destructive part of the pattern as directly as possible. This is feeling too psychological. Shift towards symbolic or somatic language, especially if it connects the sabotage to something ancient, feral, or grief-soaked. The conversation is winding down and we have some good ideas brewing. Let's look at some ways we can ask the LLM for our results and make sure we have a game plan for putting the results to use in our daily lives. Sum this up like a mythic journey. What phase am I in? What inner force am I confronting? And what symbolic action would help me move forward? Can you reflect back what we uncovered gently, then suggest one or two light, doable shifts that feel hopeful without pressure? Summarize the emotional dynamics we uncovered, especially where they connect to old wounds or romanticized pasts. What's one tender next step I can actually take? Distill this into a short list of patterns, risks, and next actions. Make it clear, practical, and something I can review later. Give me a brutal, honest summary of the pattern and suggest one sharp move that disrupts it without asking me to over-explain. What legacy am I repeating, and what gesture or ritual could help me mark the shift to something new? We just used a language model to shift through the mess. Tiny delays, half-finished drafts, self-defeating moves dressed up as strategy. Not to diagnose, but to see, clearly, quietly. Sometimes the patterns that trip us up are the ones we've rehearsed best. They wear our voice. They sound like safety. Today was about giving those voices structure, enough form to question. If something clicked, let it linger. You don't need to act on it. Insight doesn't have to lead to motion. Sometimes it just leads to less fog. That's enough. This has been LLM BFF. Useful cases, no mystery. Goodbye.